Knox County was getting slammed with wrecks, and I was in Sevier County at the time. And then Knox County units and supervisors and CERT had to come up north around probably 10 minutes from where we are now, working a fatal on Maynardville Highway. And they had one trooper, Trooper Cook. She was covering the county by herself, and they had just dispatched her to a wreck on Norris Freeway in Andersonville Pike. It was a possible drunk driver, and I asked her if she needed help, and she said yeah, that she wasn't real familiar of the area where it was at, and I told her just to follow me and I'd take her to it. We're just daylight now, but at nighttime, I mean, it was just pitch black, pouring rain, roads wet. Come around this curve, I noticed a car sitting off down in there. Of course, they cleared some brush since then. So I remember I got out of the car, I walked here, and the water line is about where the tall weeds are there. I didn't realize it was that deep. I didn't even know that ditch was there. Had no idea. So I walked down the embankment about where the edge of the water was, and she tried to open the door. That's when I advised her to keep the door shut. They was worried about the water coming in because she told me that the water was coming in, and that's when they tried to hand me a cell phone to tell the family where they were, and I just told them just to hang on. I'd get them out.
Call from Captain Curtis Mansfield, who's the 8th District Captain down in the Jackson District. He advised that Josh Wright with the rescue squad, I believe he was a captain with the rescue squad, contacted him and advised that they had a 2-year-old juvenile that went missing. We began a FLIR search, forward-looking infrared search with a helicopter. Trooper Tyler frequently operates the infrared, the FLIR camera for me. Ended up, I made a low approach toward the target when utilizing my spotlight, lit up the area, and I did notice, some small different color clothing. So obviously we believed it was her, but we don't ever like to confirm it on the radio before we know for sure. So I advised them of the target and that I believed I'd had her, and I went ahead and left my spotlight and came to a hover, and so the searchers wouldn't have any problem getting to her location as quick as possible. After we completed everything, Trooper Tyler and I landed there close to the house in just a nearby field, and when we approached the area where all the searchers were, she was being evaluated by EMS in the back of an ambulance. We stood by and we ended up sticking her head in the door, and at that time they'd already, she had a few splinters in her feet and a few other things, but they warmed her up, and she ended up, by the time she came out of the ambulance, wanting to play with everything. Yeah, probably out of everything that THP, that I've done with the THP or THP Aviation does, finding a missing child that's, pretty much helpless without the assistance of others, that's probably the most rewarding.
They were in the left lane when I began catching up to them, and they saw me back there and jumped back in the right lane. Once we got to the top of the hill, I activated my blue lights and initiated the traffic stop. I approached the vehicle on the passenger side for safety reasons, obviously, and also it allows me a good opportunity to look inside the vehicle for any kind of further movements or any kind of weapons. Once I made contact with the driver and the passenger, I always like to separate them, to get conflicting stories if there are some. So I brought the driver back between the vehicles and began engaging him in conversation about traffic infraction that I'd stopped him for. The driver told me that they were coming from a local town here in Tennessee, had been there about a week, and were heading home. They'd been visiting friends. The passenger, when I talked to him, he told me that they were coming from a local town where they had been that morning only, had driven from Nashville that morning and were headed back home. I did ask for consent to search the vehicle. Consent to search was denied by the passenger, but the driver told me I could search. Ended up, I felt like I had something going on, some type of criminal activity. I still didn't know what. I asked for the assistance of another trooper. Just a short time later, Trooper Jeremy Miller arrived on the scene, and he has a K9. I did ask him to walk that dog around the car. As soon as she hit the trunk on the passenger side, she alerted right there. When we searched the car, we popped the trunk and there was nothing in the trunk. So we pulled down the carpet liner, and behind the carpet liner, right where the dog alerted, was a kilo of cocaine. We looked on the other side, the same location, and there was another kilo of cocaine. And also in the center console, there was a little over $16,000 cash. The estimated street value on that cocaine would have been about between $32,000 and $35,000 per kilo, for a total of, let's just say, $70,000. Most drug dealers, when you interview them, they say that if they can't triple their money, it's not worth their time. So looking at a street value of anything from $200,000 to $250,000 once it's cut down and sold on the streets of Nashville.
You got quite a bit off the streets then.
It's a good day for THP and for our K9 program and for our Interdiction Plus program.
That morning it was just a normal traffic kind of day. Nothing really going on, maybe a few crashes. Not busy at all. Around 11:05, Sergeant Bearden and Trooper Anderson keyed up on the radio advising that they were en route with Chattanooga City Police Department to a possible active shooter situation on Amnicola Highway at the Marine Center, and requested that I find out more information. Got on the phone, contacted Chattanooga City. They confirmed that there was an active shooter situation. Sergeant Bearden arrived on scene, established command, confirmed that there were multiple military personnel down and possibly an officer down as well. During that time, I was making phone calls, notifying lieutenants to get all of their troopers 10-8. I was answering the radio, answering questions from Lieutenant Mackby, who was in the room, asking me what troopers we had on scene, trying to coordinate what troopers needed to go to what location to stage, keeping the troopers that were en route updated on the incident, how many shooters were involved. The troopers that were on scene on the ground had no idea if they were going into a war zone, basically. It definitely made me realize that anything can happen. We come to work every day not knowing if something's going to happen or if something could happen to one of our guys or women out on the road. Can go from being a very easy, normal, quiet day to complete and total madness within the drop of a pin.
I was working downtown Nashville for DUI enforcement when I received a call from dispatch advising me they received a ping from a cell phone of a homicide suspect out of Illinois. At that point in time, I started heading towards the interstate. They advised that the ping was around the Dickerson Road area of Interstate 24. I told dispatch to continue pinging the cell phone so I could get a better fix on the location. The subsequent pings identified the vehicle as continuing east on Interstate 24. So at that point in time, I continued east on Interstate 24 as well to try and locate the suspect. Following that, the pings became stationary. Dispatch advised that it was around the Bell Road, Old Hickory Boulevard area of Interstate 24 going towards Rutherford County. They advised the tower location, so what I did was I pulled it up on Google Earth and identified where that tower was based upon the map. They advised me that the suspect vehicle was southeast of that tower. So what I did was I took a ruler tool in Google Earth and I spanned the area of where I felt the suspect may be located. Once I identified that area, I advised dispatch to have the other troopers start heading down that way as well. So I continued off the exit and located a vehicle parked at the pilot station, and it matched the description of the suspect vehicle. When I pulled up, I saw the vehicle, the tag matched. I immediately notified dispatch to notify the other troopers to start heading that way, that I did have that vehicle. I saw that the driver's side door was cracked, but it didn't appear that anyone was in the vehicle. And I was parked a little bit back from the suspect vehicle. So I exited the vehicle and I walked up. As I walked up and made my approach, I could see someone scrunched down in the driver's seat. I immediately went back to my patrol car, moved my patrol car forward in an attempt to block any exit from the suspected vehicle. Knowing that the suspect had a mental disorder according to dispatch, I made an immediate approach as not to spook the suspect. I made contact, called her by name, and had her exit the vehicle. I observed blood on the driver's side of the vehicle by the door and the rear trunk area upon my approach. When I had her exit the vehicle, I could also see some blood on her hands. I advised her to put her hands behind her back. She placed her right hand trying to go into her pocket, so I immediately grabbed her arms, put her around back, and took her into custody. Receiving Trooper of the Year was the ultimate honor. I was sitting in a room full of troopers from the state of Tennessee, all very worthy of being bestowed that honor. And when I heard the colonel's dialogue start and announce who was the recipient of that year, I was taken back because I started hearing identifiers that it was me. I was immediately overwhelmed at the honor of being the recipient of Trooper of the Year and having that bestowed upon me for doing something that I love to do.